Wazoo! Hello, welcome. So, Augur got an Everdark Sovereign version. They dropped, and I figured I'm gonna hop on and fight them. There's also an update where partial HP restoration upon post-damage attacks, meaning if you take damage, then you can dish damage to get your health back. Basically, Bloodborne rally system. That didn't work on bows. There was an update where that apparently now works on bows. Which is very good because I have that on Iron Eye. And that not working kind of bothered me. I fear that that was intentional, considering Iron Eye is just so powerful, but I guess not. But we can hop into here. Meant solo experience. Oh, 2 players or 3 players. I almost went on. I almost went in on a solo expedition because not at the time of uploading, but at the time of recording, I'm going through all 8 main Nightlords on solo expeditions, and my goal, my plan, my hope, double Iron Eye is fine, he's overpowered. But my hope is to beat all 8 Nightlords as all 8 Night Fares in solo expeditions, and then to make some videos out of that. Like, my opinions on the bosses, my opinions on the areas, on the Night Fares, so on and so forth. I I have gotten through Gladius, Triaphlos, whatever you want to call him, the first Nightlord, the dog. I've gotten through them, and then I took a break because, ooh, they're not bad, but Guardian? It's Guardian and Raider, they just... It's a mixture of they're not super good, at least for my playstyle. Like, they're just not good for my playstyle, and I don't like them. So, yeah. Yep. I was gonna say, I can take charge. I can place the pins, but I don't want to. Because something I have... Something I've maintained is that unless you're playing in a, like, group, like, as long as you're playing with randoms, I think it is mandatory that you learn how to take charge. We can drop that because we have a Wilder. But yeah, if you're playing with randoms, I think it should be... Like, I think it should be mandatory for you to learn how to take charge. You don't have to if you've got teammates willing to do it, then great. But it should be a skill that you really should learn. Because if you don't gain that skill and you get teammates that either don't have that skill or refuse to take charge, then your entire team will spend like a third, if not half of day one, just standing there, staring at each other, doing nothing. Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah. This is the one bad thing about Iron Eye, is there are some enemies and bosses that will, like, input read your shots and dodge, and going up against them without backup is not a good experience. Please let me... I just want to swap targets. Yeah. Even with 2 Iron Eyes, it's fine. But 1 Iron Eye alone, it's kind of rough. There we go. And now we can mark them and continue on. The thing I will say is, I haven't really been recording it. Ooh, Flameburge. I can drop that and mark it for him. But going through and doing the solo runs against Gladius, I have been recording those. But, like I said, Guardian and Raider just took it out of me. And so, decided, because of that, I'm just gonna go back to Dark Souls 3 as kind of a cleanse. And I decided to do a little silly goofy. And I thought, hey, it'd be pretty fun to do a bow run. And oh my god. Increased number of runes obtained. Yes, please. But yeah, bows, as much as I defend them, they do not feel good side of Nightreign. In any other game, they feel so bad now. And I mean, they didn't feel bad for me before, at least in Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. But Iron Eye has just... Iron Eye has spoiled me. And I really hope that going forward, every game... But going forward, I really hope that every game runs bows the way that Iron Eye runs bows. Yeah, the whole thing that I said about if no one leads, you just stand around like this. You may have thought I was joking. But if you get 3, like, if you don't take charge, and you land with 2 other people who don't take charge, congratulations, you are going to stand around for the entirety of day 1. Nothing will get done, and you're going to go into the night 1 boss at level 4. Like, I'm not joking. I wish that more players would learn how to take charge, but they aren't. And so that is a skill that I have been forced to pick up and have been practicing. I say as I haven't played the game in like a week. Right. But it's a skill that I have picked up and have the capacity to do. So, is that we can go up and around. I feel like that's the better choice. And neither of them came with me. Probably could have pinned, but didn't think I need to pin for going 5 feet. But anyways, yeah, bows feel so nice with Iron Eye. And I hope that every game moving forward plays bows like this. Because it would actually make them a viable main weapon. As much as I love bows and as much as I defend them, I mean, I don't really love them, but I defend bows a lot. And as much as I defend them, they just don't feel super good in the other games, especially now having played Nightreign. But now we can run over here and get the church. We can run, hit this, then hit that. But yeah, really hoping that that's something that every future game does. Warming Stone. And they went for that one instead. Thing is, it's a lot easier to go down than it is to go up, which is why if you have a thing on your level and then a thing on the down level, it's better to do the thing on your level first. I was about to say, why are they going up? And then I remembered, oh yeah, they didn't hit that church. You know, that thing that they should have done? Ah, well. My bow does frost. So... broke the mark. Remarked them. Question, where is my team? Because I don't see them anywhere by me. Well, doesn't matter too much. Because I got that, and... oh, well, they felled an enemy. Congratulations. Good on them. I got an upgrade material. And you could say, oh, well, I ended up in the rain. It's like, yeah, but I wouldn't have ended up in the rain if I had triple the damage. from having two teammates going to the place that I pinned when they didn't pin. But anyways, so I think what I'm going to do, because this is my first time going up against the Everdark Sovereign Augur, hopefully I get to them and beat them. But what I'm gonna do is fight them, beat them, give my thoughts and opinions on them, and then I'm gonna grind out the fight a little bit. Not too much, unless I find them to be really fun. But my aim is for like 20 wins. I feel like 20 wins is decent. And then after that, I'm probably gonna go back to the solo expeditions. Like, just going through all 8 night fairs. And the way that like, the rule set that I have as of currently is that I have to beat the Nightlord. So, like, for example, Guardian. I think it was Guardian. Might have been Raider. But on one of them, I lost. And so I just didn't count that expedition. Oh, yep. Gaining a little bit of health back, so that's a nice buff to Iron Eye. But yeah, like, if I died, then I wouldn't count it, and I would have to go again. Improve dodging. And that's just to make sure that I'm getting a good opinion or at least like a realistic opinion. Golden Hippo. Yeah, because I don't want to die like super early on or on like the night 2 boss and then go, oh yeah, this night fair is really bad and garbage and they're not good against this boss, having not fought the boss. Double critical, very nice. You'll love to see it. Boost HP restoration from flasks. Very good, you'll love to see it. But yeah, part of why I'm doing it with all 8 night fairs is so that way I have more chances to see all the different bosses. Because there are some bosses that are specific to the different Nightlords. But then also just to gain more experience on the different Nightlords, or night fairs. Because I don't think it would be super fair for me to give my opinion on a night fair if I've only done like 3 games as them. And so, me doing every single Nightlord means that I would have at least 8 wins as them, on top of the experience that I already have. And the reason why I'm doing solo expeditions is because they feel more consistent, they feel more reliable, and so I can't just use my teammates as a crutch. For me to be able to beat a Nightlord on a solo run, that's me going, I have the knowledge and the skill and the, like, leadership ability to be able to take charge and do what needs to be done. By myself. And have that be true for every single night fair. I was about to say, I'm shooting the knight, but I'm keeping my eye on the dog. Lion. It's a lion. Gonna drop that. Gonna in here. Grab this. They're still up there, but this is an ancient hero, Zamor. Not exactly a big threat. I mean, capable of doing some damage, especially on lower levels. But as long as you're not under-leveled and you have some respect for him, you should be fine. You'll love to see it. And there we go. More range for the weapon as the passive effect. But yeah, my main focus for that... Crimson Sea Talisman, yes please. Yeah, my main focus for that challenge is to just fight every single boss a few times, at least, and to get a good feeling for every boss. That way I can give the most accurate opinion that I can. Uh-oh. Death rate birds are, in my opinion... Oh! Alright, I'm gonna skedaddle out of there until my team shows up. Because, yeah, that thing nearly one-shot me. At level 13. So, yeah. They're also far less predictable than a boss like the Bell-Bearing Hunter. And maybe this is because I fight the Bell-Bearing Hunter a lot, but I have always maintained that Deathrite Bird is more difficult than the Bell-Bearing Hunter. Because I throw bosses into 3 different camps. Fundamentally simple, fundamentally complicated, and then somewhere in the middle. fundamentally intermediate. And that's just based on how difficult is the boss to learn, how complicated is their moveset. And I see death rate birds as fundamentally complicated, while the bell-bearing hunters... Ooh. That'll give Wilder a ranged option. Because Maris is a ranged boss. I'm sorry for jumping from topic to topic, but I have not recorded in a bit, and yeah, that's basically just I haven't recorded in a bit. And I've not played Nightreign in a bit either, because I've been doing a Dark Souls 3 bow run. Not the most difficult thing, because while I do a lot of like weird challenges, I'm not super big on challenge runs. I'm more about having variety in my runs than challenges, if that makes sense. Like, I choose runs specifically to be different than what's normal, which is what challenge runs are typically about, but I don't go for what's the most challenging. I go for something that's just different, unique, interesting, rather than what's the most difficult. So the things like, oh, can I beat this game at level 1 using nothing but a toothpick with a Bop-It controller? That's not how I operate. The quote-unquote challenge runs that I do are typically pretty basic. Typically fairly easy. Like single weapon class runs, or like bows. Again, nothing too crazy, because I am not an extremely skilled player. I'm more about knowledge than skill. Which I've pretty much always maintained that Dark Souls as a series isn't really that difficult from a mechanical standpoint. Like, it has a reputation for being difficult, and there is a good reason for that difficult reputation. As I said, there's a reason for that reputation. But that reputation is more so because of the knowledge requirement than the like mechanical skill required or demanded of the player. Because up until Dark Souls 3, these games didn't really require a lot of mechanical skill. They didn't require great reaction time or precision. Like, Dark Souls 1 especially, mechanically speaking, very easy game. Up until, like, the DLC. And even then, the DLC was not mechanically demanding. It was more about the knowledge. Right. In Dark Souls 3, that changed a bit. In Elden Ring, that changed even more. But still not too difficult. It's still more about knowledge than skill, I would say. And because I tend to focus on the knowledge side of things, these games aren't particularly difficult for me. And as I said, mechanically speaking, I am honestly, I'd say I'm below average, mechanically speaking. Like, I am truly nothing special. I am okay on a good day. And most days are not good days. So, I rely on the knowledge. And during the solo runs, against Gladius, I only died twice. And I believe it was from Guardian and Raider. The two characters who I just do not mesh well with. Where it's like, I just don't really go with her playstyle. But the characters where I do go with their playstyle, it's a pretty easy win on solo. Like Iron Eye. And even on Wilder, who was the first character I played, and it was my first ever solo run, I had one death at the beginning of day 1 because I was like level 2 and got bad RNG with the bosses that were close to me. I mean, my brain just didn't function there. But the easiest boss that was even remotely close by was a depraved perfumer, which is constantly throwing around fire. And at level 2, they got him. Good. Yeah. Something that, once again, I'm sorry for bouncing around so much. I had a few topics that I had in mind, and I just didn't prepare myself at all. And I didn't do any warm-up runs. But one of the topics that I had in mind that I did not bring up at all so far was, what are they going to do with Maris? The Augur. because they're very easy. You know, with damage negation. Because the Everdark Sovereigns, they all get a new phase that increases the difficulty. And I just don't see what they could do with Maris. 56 to 88. Nice. I did not get a lot of warming stones. That's not very good. Alright, that's it. So like I said, it's been a bit. It has been a bit since I played. But yeah, I just don't see what they could do with Maris to make them more difficult because they're so fundamentally easy. But we're gonna fight them. We're gonna see what they do. And I will give my thoughts on them. If I lose, then I can just go again. Because I don't want to give my initial thoughts. Unless I can get a win. I mean, even if I lose, I'll give my initial thoughts, but I would like to get a win. And give my thoughts after that. And instead of doing a full run, recording that, like 2 full runs if I lose, I can just record the second Augur fight, and then, yeah. That was very easy. I assume they're gonna have a second health bar. Oh, gold. Iron Eye's bow +3. 88, 118. Well, they've got a sword and a half. Also, oh my god, this thing looks so much cooler. I'm doing no damage. I mean, I was staring at their health bar while spamming that attack. I was doing absolutely no damage. Big laser beam. Cool. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm just incapable of doing damage. Oh, Storm Roller. Okay. I was wondering why I was doing no damage. Okay, so we're getting a Storm Roller. I mean, immediately off the bat, full dodge. But immediately off the bat, I can appreciate that from the perspective of, whoa, that's getting a little too close for comfort. But I can appreciate that from the perspective of melee players, where That's probably gonna suck. Oh, I thought that was just endlessly expanding. But no, it wasn't endlessly expanding, it was just following me. Okay. Alright, so it took a minute, but I'm understanding it now. I get it, I get it. I feel like I dodged that slightly too early. Oh no, I'm getting all my FP back. I use that and it uses FP, and then I get into this stance and I get my FP back. Okay, that's cool. I was lucky hit by FP bar, not the boss. Okay. But once it like I rolled one too many times. Once it like fully powers up, whether I press R1 or R2, it does the big slam. There's probably some way to avoid that. I just don't know it right now. I don't know how much range this has. Yeah, like that did no damage. We want to avoid this. Okay, we could just power through it with a heal or two. I don't know how much range this has. 1400, so got a bit of range. But not infinite. Alright. So I appreciate that it gives the FP back. And I appreciate the consideration for melee players. However, and there are two howevers here. The first, however, is that I don't like these fights, the Storm Ruler ones. And this may be controversial, but my favorite Storm Ruler fight is actually Yorm the Giant. And it's my favorite specifically because you don't have to play it as a Storm Ruler fight. It's my favorite specifically because you can play it just as a normal fight. And then you can... Ow. Oh boy. He is too far away for me to hit. While still staying in this. But I can go after him now. There we go. Okay. Oh, please. Oh, please. I don't want to die. Oh, please. Why do you do this? Why do you keep throwing them at me? I'm at half health and I have no flasks. Alright, it looks like that attack goes after every player. Or at least 2 players. Which is good to know. But yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of Storm Ruler fights. Because there's no build variety. And the fights are very simple. It's just hold the button until the sword glowies. And then once in range, just press the attack. And that's it. It's just very simple, boring fights. And it's just not engaging to me. And maybe that's a personal thing, but like I said, for me personally, the most entertaining one, or the most fun one, was actually Yorm the Giant. Specifically because you didn't have to play him as a Storm Ruler fight. You could play him as just a normal fight. Especially if you brought Nightrign into things. Nightlord felled. Hey! Hey! Why would you do that? Okay. We won. W team. Also, you can sell now. Which I also highly appreciate. Like, look at that. That's incredible. Beautiful. I love that so much. I appreciate that so much. Okay. But now that I don't have to focus on the boss anymore, I can focus on just giving my opinions. Like my initial thoughts. So, I really like both the original and the new design for it. Visually speaking, incredible. I mean, just blew Elden Beast out of the water. No arms, no legs, no fingers, none of those human bits that made Elden Beast look weird. It just looks like a superior Elden Beast. It looks like a better designed Elden Beast. So visually speaking, incredible. When it comes to the attacks from the boss, I really like it. I think that it was an interesting... I think it was an interesting way to build upon the original Augur and make it more dangerous. I mean, you could see there that I went down twice. Which, against normal Augur, I like never go down. Ever. So the fact that this one was able to bring me down twice, I feel like that shows that they did a good job of making Augur an actual threat. But I never felt like any of the attacks were unfair. So, that's a great sign as well. Now, for the Storm Ruler, as I said in the fight itself, I'm not a fan of Storm Ruler fights. Because it's just You pick up the special weapon, you hold the button, you attack when they get in range, and your sword is glowy. It gets rid of all the like personality of your build. It gets rid of all build variety. It just becomes a one size fits all. Because of that, it can't be like special or unique. It can't be a super complex fight because it needs to be tailored to this one specific thing. I mean, it could be, but the fights just feel very basic. Like in Dark Souls 3, you got Abyss Watchers, you got Nameless King, you got the Twin Princes, and then you got Yorm. Good. So boring I couldn't even remember his name for a minute. And like I said, he's my favorite of the Storm Roller fights. Because you can fight him normally. You can fight him with your normal weapon. It takes forever, but you can bring Siegmeyer in. And you can act like this angry little chihuahua gnawing at Yorm's ankles, being a distraction while Siegmeyer does the actual damage. And it makes the boss kind of fun. But if you use the Storm Ruler, it's just not fun for me. And I'm saying that as someone who thinks that greatswords are the best weapon class, with the Storm Ruler being a greatsword. And then in Elden Ring, you've got Godfrey, Hoaraloo, you've got Morgott, you've got Malekith. Some people don't like him, I kinda do. He's not my favorite, but he's pretty fun. You've got Loretta, you've got Ulcerated Tree Spirits, Nerdry Avatars, pretty basic, but still fun for me. You've got Draconic Tree Sentinels. Like, you have all these different fun bosses, and then you have Rykard. And Rykard, while he's a great spectacle boss, as a fight, it's just R1, 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 R1. And that's kind of what Augur felt like. So, I appreciate the consideration for melee builds to give them an option to fight against Augur without having to chase him endlessly. But remember, this is an Everdark Sovereign. They're supposed to be more difficult. And I'd say, when it comes to their attacks, they did a great job of that. Because Augur's attacks felt harder to they felt far harder to deal with, but not in a way that was unfair. It felt like I just had to learn them. And I did a bit. And I mean, the attacks felt like just a natural continuation and build up upon the base version's attacks. So, as an enemy, with their attacks, I'd say they did a great job. And I can understand why they use, like, why they brought on the Storm Ruler. I just don't think that that was the best option. Now, can I think of a better option? No. So there's that. Which normally, if there is a problem, I can, not always, but I can typically think of something else that they could have done. I can't think of anything here. I said in the Night 2 boss, I don't know how they could build upon that. Like on Augur just as a base boss. And again, as an enemy, they did a great job. I just don't think that the Storm Ruler was a great option. Because it kind of simplified fighting them. Because the normal version, it's like, okay, you have the little blobs that you can attack. You have the worms that come out of the ground, you can attack them, and those actually damage Augur by killing them. And so you can do that, or you can chase them, or you can come in with a ranged character. And so it's like you have options, you have variety for fighting the boss, and they all work. Whereas with the Everdark Sovereign, it's like, all right, everyone just gets the Storm Ruler, and then you just Storm Ruler. And so it feels like it's simplified to the boss, whereas all the other Everdark Sovereigns that I've gone against so far, I think we've gotten Triaphlos, but I didn't fight them. But Gaping Jaw, Sentient Pest, and Dark Drift Knight, I fought the Everdark Sovereigns of them, and for those three, the Everdark Sovereign version was more complicated. For Augur, they feel simpler, at least when it comes to doing damage. When it comes to avoiding damage, they're more complicated, and I think they did a great job. When it comes to doing damage, it feels simpler. And so, overall, I'd say they did alright. They did a decent enough job making the boss interesting, and they did a great job making them more difficult in a way that felt fair. But not my favorite. Out of the four that I've fought so far, again, Gaping Jaw, Sentient Pest, Augur, and Dark Drift Knight, I would say my favorite would probably be the Dark Drift Knight, mostly just because in Phase 2 he gets rid of the goop arm, and I really like him not with the goop arm. But I also really liked Gaping Jaw, and to a degree, even Sentient Pest. Not super big on Augur. Like I said, everything else, the visual design and the attacks, incredible. I'm just not a big fan of the one size fits all. Everyone has the same strategy and there's only one strategy. I like how the normal base version gave you 3 different options to take on the boss. So, I'd say overall, they're okay. I'm gonna keep going after them. But, yeah. Hey, uh, something I forgot was to check this. So, increased maximum HP, continuous HP recovery, and slowly restores HP for self and allies when HP is low. That's kind of nice. I'm gonna get that. Also, when I talk about doing the solo runs, where I go through all 8 characters, like all 8 Night Fairs against Triaphlos, and then same with Gaping Jaw and so on and so forth. Right now, I'm near the end of Triaphlos, because I took like a week-long break from the game to play Dark Souls 3. But something I forgot to mention is that I'm actually doing it ones with randoms, so Wilder, Guardian, so on and so forth, with randoms, and then again solo, which means I'm fighting each Nightlord 16 times. And I'm going to hopefully do that with all 8 Nightlords. Once with every Night Fair with randoms, once with every Night Fair solo. That way I can have a good, accurate opinion of all the Nightlords, all the Night Fairs, and all of the other bosses. Because I'm going to try to hit every single boss that the game has to offer at least 3 times. That way I can give a somewhat decent, well-rounded opinion. But, yeah.